Ever since I was a young kid, I've always had these overarching obsessions with often very random mediums, whether it be games or movies or TV shows or subjects. It was mainly history. I was always a history kid. It's varied throughout the years on what it's been, but one thing has remained consistent, and that it's that I've always had something to obsess about and just be able to consume in depth and enjoy it and just have a good fucking time. Sometimes it was like military history, other times it was fucking Star Wars or Call of Duty or Minecraft or... There's so many examples I can think of, man, I'll be honest. The point is, I have a lot of special interests, and I feel like despite all these obsessions and ideas and shit, I have a very hard time ever expressing it, at least in full, when it comes to talking to other people about it. And the more I look around, I think this is a very common thing, especially amongst young, seclusive men who don't have interests that align with whatever's trending at the time.
And I want to clarify, there's nothing wrong with being inherently trendy, you know, that's just something normal that happens whenever something gets popular. But I would also be lying my ass off if I just said that it didn't feel at least a little excluding, especially when I was a young kid, to just not be in line with what other people were talking about at the time. And it puts you in a really fucking awkward position, I feel like, where you have so much to say but don't have the opportunity to ever say it. And you kind of have to choose whether to just stick with what you know and love and stay isolated, or just try to force yourself to like the things everyone else likes, which is what a lot of people do, and sometimes it works and other times it just doesn't, simply because you can't. It's not in your character. And that's kind of what I found myself fighting with throughout my childhood. When I was in 4th grade, I tried to do everything in my power to fit in with what were pretty much the popular kids back when I was in grade school. Even to the point where, like, some of my closest friends were bullies, simply because I knew they had status and could probably protect me in case some other kid came and tried to beat me up somehow. Though I will say the bully part worked. I didn't get bullied throughout any of elementary school simply because I was buddy-buddy with 2 of the strongest kids in the grade. And I was a scrawny motherfucker too, dude. I was fresh meat. I would constantly try to follow the latest trends. I would try to watch the coolest, most trendiest YouTubers. I used to force myself to watch Logan Paul so that I would be perceived popular. That's the saddest sentence I think a human can utter, or at least one of the saddest sentences. And in the end, what ended up happening is I got put on the side burner. I got fucked over. I made friends with fake people who didn't care about me, and stopped caring about me the moment I stopped putting up with that shit. And it was here that made me kind of realize, 1, how fucked and narcissistic it is to be popular, and 2, that being normal simply wasn't for me. I was the kid playing Battlefield 4 and Call of Duty, while everybody was on fucking OG Fortnite. I was the kid who made OCs. I was the kid who fucking roleplayed, you know what I mean? I was a fat and fucking nerd. I would study military history in my free time. I would read up on the lore behind my favorite universes and the world building behind them. I would do all this nerdy shit, and yet I was so afraid to ever openly express myself about it. And I still, to this day, really am, because we live in a society that isolates alternative thinkers and anyone who doesn't adhere to social norms.
And I understand that some social norms are there for a reason, you know what I mean? Obvious shit like brushing your teeth or, you know, taking a shower. That's pretty obvious. Or basic morals like not killing people, you know. But when we really get to the nitty-gritty of conformity and what we consider normal in today's world, it's all just so fucking bland and so isolating for anybody who doesn't want to embrace it. And I think just letting it be like this honestly just feels like a disservice to the world. Can't even lie to you, man. I mean, when the fuck did we let Lululemon become trendy clothes? Where did style go? Where did cool fucking trends go? Shit that actually makes me want to go out and interact with society. And what happened is people stopped being alternative. Or not alternative, but just willing to think outside of the box of what other people were thinking. We got hijacked by this very 1950s idea of what life should be like, and we've just ran with it ever since. This quiet, polite, peaceful life. Absolutely nothing is out of the ordinary. Everything is just the fucking same every day. And it's no wonder why people are so depressed. It's like that one SpongeBob episode, when Squidward moves into that weird, like, squid ethno state, where he gets really depressed because he's doing, like, the same shit every day. And he ends up fucking leaving, you know why? Because conformity's fucking boring, that's why. It sucks. Doing the same thing every day, this quiet lifestyle, it's not what we're meant for. Maybe some people are, but that certainly does not represent everybody. I think, in general, we need to be more willing to get out there and embrace talking about the shit you get bullied for, you know? Because society's becoming too boring. And I'm betting if we all just collectively embraced just being more nerdy, or not even nerdy, but just alternative to what everyone else is thinking, we'd start to see so much more expression and socialization in people. This also ties into the simple fact that people are lonely nowadays. I hear everyone online talking about why are people lonely nowadays? Why is everybody so lonely? Maybe it has to do with the fact that we fucking bog down people
whenever any new alternative idea is presented, compared to the shit people are just spoon-fed every day.
We'd start to see more uniqueness in just everybody, I feel like. I will say though, this is not to say everything weird is good. Obviously, there are many things that should stay weird. But when I say being weird, I mean like liking Warhammer or like talking loudly in public. I'm not talking like bestiality or something, you know. Overall, I think there needs to be a balance between being, you know, a little bit strange just for the fun of it and being, you know, a normal functioning member of society. And I think if shit's ever gonna get better, just objectively, we should probably start being a bit more open to more alternative ideas that don't just stick to the textbook of what we've been taught for the past, I don't fucking know, pretty long time. There's probably not a specific time to it, it's just the system. Shit that goes against, or at least stands to alter in some way, the system in place. Because the reality is, society is fucking boring now. It always has been kind of boring. And the easiest, most trivial fucking way to fix that is just by being a tad bit more nerdy. And not being afraid to be passionate about yourself just because of what society decides to label as cringe and shitty. Obviously, there's some exceptions. You know, we shouldn't be out here fucking animals or anything, or children, or anything like that. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But not talking about basic morality, I really feel like society could use to be a bit more weird and wacky and alternative. We need more fucking dinguses. We need more goofballs. We need more Tweedledums and Tweedledoos. We constantly uphold this idea that the people who make history are going to be these strong, critical thinkers who stand out from the crowd and don't just stand for how things are. And yet the moment these sentiments are expressed in the real world, in a real conversation, it's instantly just met with, you're just being a fucking whack job. Things are the way they are, and that's just that.
It's like, no, we didn't get to where we are now by being fucking normal. If you look at any historical figure, or at least the more notable ones, none of them did what they did by just sitting there and being like, oh, I'm just gonna follow the crowd. Nah, bro. If George Washington just let shit slide, he would have just stayed in the British Army and not done shit with his life. But he said, no. Fuck this, fuck the government, I'm doing something. And now we have the United States of America. Because one guy said, no, I'm not sticking to what's fucking normal. I'm doing something. I'm making big moves. There's probably a million other historical examples I can think of. And maybe ones that fit even better than that. Actually, there probably is. George Washington wasn't always in line. He was kind of a shithead sometimes. I don't really know how this went from me talking about being nerdy as a kid to George Washington, but the point I'm really trying to hammer down here is that I think a lot of us could afford to be a bit more expressive. Not just for ourselves, but just to brighten up the world a bit more. In a time where it feels like everything is just telling us and forcing us to conform. I'm slowly running out of things to talk about here, so I'm just gonna leave it with this. Be nerdy, be goofy, be fucking silly. Because society needs it. And society needs you. That's gonna do it for today's video. I'm really hoping you guys enjoyed it. I think I stepped up the quality in this a little bit. I feel like as I go through the process of developing videos, I can see the overall quality in them improving. My girlfriend the other day actually said she liked my videos, so I think that's a step up. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Peace.